Hi, my name is John. I'm one of the Power Pro techs from WFCO Electronics. Today I'm going to show you how to remove the lower section from a Magnetek 6355 converter. Before we get started, there's a few things I'd like to discuss. First thing is, why would we be replacing this converter? First thing it could be is that the unit is obsolete. Second thing could be is that the unit is defective. Third thing, we may want to upgrade from a linear style old technology converter or a single stage electronic converter to a new high performance 3-stage converter such as our WF-8955 series REP.
The WF-8955REP converter is a high performance replacement for the lower section of 55 amp power centers with removable converter sections. Like all WFCO converters, it is an advanced technology 3-stage converter designed to install very easily in other brands of power centers.
Before we get started, I'd like to show you how we determine which converter would replace this converter. WFCO has come up with a reference sheet. As you can see in the chart, down here we are looking at a Magnetek 6355, which shows our WF-8955REP as a replacement. On the opposite side of the sheet, we also have outside dimensions of all our products, our converters, distribution panels, etc. This sheet can be obtained by going to our website at WFCOelectronics.com and requesting a cross-reference sheet. A cross-reference sheet will be emailed to you. You also can call us at our phone number, our 1-800 number. Before we get started, I'd like to go over some safety things we need to do. We always recommend wearing a pair of safety glasses. Also be aware of your environment. Make sure if you're working at it, there is no screws protruding that can actually scratch and cut you. Also, when you're working within the cabinet of this converter, be very careful. The edges on the metal are very, very sharp. Next thing, make sure that your 110 sources are disconnected or turned off, such as your short power, your generator. Make sure those units are either turned off or disconnected. Also disconnect your house battery. Now, I'd like to go over the tools we'll be using. We have a large and small blade screwdriver, a square drive screwdriver, also have a pair of pliers, a battery powered screw gun, also have a handle for a nut driver, a 1/4-inch nut driver, a 5/16 nut driver, and a regular number 2 Phillips bit. Okay, our next step we're going to do is, before we get started, I'm going to actually take the front cover off the converter. Using a Phillips screw bit, remove the front screws holding the front cover on. As you can see on the converter is actually constructed where our 110 AC side is on the left-hand side, our DC board is on the right-hand side, and the converter is mounted beneath it. We're going to start on the AC side, 110 side. Next step we're going to have is removing this front plate that covers the 110 wires. Even though we have our shore power disconnected, I always recommend to turn off all breakers. All breakers should be in the off position. My next step is to remove the neutral wire. The next step we're going to do is remove the AC incoming hot from the breaker. Easiest way is remove the breaker from the unit and set the breaker off to the side. As you can see, the converter does not have a ground wire attached to the ground bar for the simple reason is that the outside casing is metal, so the converter is actually grounded through the metal casing. Now we will work on the DC side. Using a 1/4-inch hex bit, I'm going to actually remove the 2 screws. You may also have additional wires coming from these terminals here Those all will have to be removed. You may want to mark each wire independently and associate that wire with the correct fuse size that's in the sockets. At this point, I will remove the board, tip it slightly forward, and I will remove the positive wire, the negative wire, and the second positive. And as you can see, the DC board comes apart pretty easy. Now what I will do is actually remove the lower section of the converter. I'm going to remove the screws that are holding the lower section in place. Once all 4 screws are out, slowly slide the lower section out and pull the wires down through the holes. And the lower section is out. Okay, now what we are going to do is replace the lower section of the 6355 using our WF-8955REP unit. As you can see, the unit comes with a complete lower section, comes with a brand new fuse board, and also comes with a hardware pack. What we will do at this point is loosen the 2 front screws on the lower section, and we'll slide the lower section converter out slightly. And then we can actually slide this whole unit in. At that point, what we can do is feed the wires back up through the holes. This is the 110 side. Then we will square the unit back into the lower section, slide it in, and put the screws back in. On the DC side, we will just insert the white and the red wires directly up through the hole. And at this point, the lower section is installed. What we're going to do at this point is actually attach the red and white wire to the fuse board. Mind you, be very careful in this area, very sharp wires. Okay, what we're going to do is actually attach the positive wire from the converter to the section on the fuse board that says converter or CONV POS. Kind of snug it up slightly right now. We will take the negative wire from the DC fuse from the converter and attach it to where it says BAT neg. That is actually the battery negative. Now we're just snugging these wires down tight so they don't move around on us. We'll kind of lay the wires back inside the converter. Now we'll be mounting the DC board using the hardware pack. In the hardware pack you have replacement screws for the board. And what you have to do is line up the holes in the back with the holes in the front. Now that you have this installed, what you will do is either take a torque wrench or a flat blade screwdriver, and you will actually tighten these down to approximately about 32 inch-pounds. Okay, after the fuse board is installed and all the lugs are tightened up, make sure that the 230 amp fuses that came with the unit are installed. Now the rest of your circuits that you removed from the prior board will go onto each terminal here, associated with the proper fuse size. Okay, after the DC side of the board is all put together, come over to the AC side. First thing we're going to do is install the neutral wire into the neutral bar. Then we will also install a ground wire into the ground bar. Make sure both wires are snug to approximately 18 inch-pounds. Our next step is to replace the AC hot wire into the breaker. We'll insert the wire, and what we will do is actually tighten that lug up nice and tight. Then we will install the breaker. Just snap it back into the box. Okay, once all the wiring is done within the AC 110 compartment, what we can do is actually replace the cover plate by inserting the 2 screws. Okay, we have the front cover plate back onto the AC breaker area. Next thing we'll do before we put the front faceplate on is make sure we put the 4 screws in each corner. At this point, we can actually put the front cover on the converter. What we'll do is put the remaining screws from the hardware packet in. Okay, after we've got the front cover assembled, also drop the door down, turn all the breakers back on, go out to your shore power, plug the shore power in, and test the unit for operation. Thank you very much for watching this video. Also, you obtain other videos that are listed on our website at WFCOelectronics.com.
For many power centers, the 8955REP upgrades the unit from single-stage to 3-stage charging. WFCO converters run cooler than other converters because the fan is activated by the electric load, not by a heat sensor. Our fans come on at an earlier stage of operation and increase in speed as the load increases. And because the fan only runs when required by the load, it is distinctly quieter than other converters. Also, filtered output provides a clean signal to prevent interference with electronics in the RV. Thank you for viewing this informational video from the WFCO Power Pros. Please return to our website often, as we will add more informative videos and other resources to better support our customers.